Big banks are collapsing under their own weight, and most people still think that's where their money is safest. Everyone believes that if a bank is big, famous, and has a global brand, then it must be the smarter place to keep your money. That assumption is exactly what's getting people debanked, frozen, or stuck in endless compliance reviews. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The bigger the bank, the worse you are treated as an individual client. And this isn't theory, this is how the system actually works today. Before we go deeper, let me introduce myself. I'm Matteo Maglia, Partnership Manager at GloboBanks, the banking introduction company for international accounts. Now, let's talk about something almost nobody explained properly. There are two types of banks in the world, and confusing them is one of the most expensive mistakes entrepreneurs and high net worth individuals make. The first category is what I call big banks. These are the names everyone knows, the banks your accountant mentions, the banks your lawyer feels safe recommending, the banks people choose because of reputation, not because of logic. Big banks are built to serve millions of clients at scale. They are optimized for volume, not relationship. And here's the key point most people miss. When a bank serves everyone, it serves no one well. Big banks rely heavily on algorithms, automated compliance, automated risk scoring, automated decisions. That means you're not evaluated as a human being. You're evaluated as a data profile. Your nationality, your country of residence, your business model, your transaction pattern, your industry, your political exposure, and if something doesn't fit perfectly into their predefined boxes, the system doesn't ask questions. It simply says, close the account. No warning, no explanation, no appeal. This is why we're seeing mass debanking globally. Not because people are doing something illegal, but because big banks cannot afford nuance. Compliance costs are massive, regulatory fees are brutal, reputation risk is existential. So, what's the safest move for a big bank? Cut clients early, cut clients fast, ask questions later, if ever. Now, here's the paradox. People assume that having more money protects them. It doesn't. In fact, in big banks, having a mid to high balance can make you more dangerous, not safer. But why? Well, because your account suddenly represents a risk without proportionate upside. From the bank's perspective, let's break it down simply. If you generate a few hundred or a few thousand per year in fees, but your profile triggers enhanced compliance, extra monitoring, manual reviews, and potential regulatory exposure, you are not a premium client. You are a liability. That's why we see people with 7 figures getting treated worse than people with basic retail accounts. Now, let's talk about the second category, what I call smart banks. These are not necessarily small banks, they are not unknown, but they are focused. Smart banks choose their clients deliberately. They specialize in specific profiles. They understand international structures. They understand cross-border businesses. They understand wealth, mobility, and complexity. Most importantly, they still operate on relationship banking, not pure automation. That changes everything. In a smart bank, you're not just an account number, you're a relationship. You have a relationship manager, someone who understands your structure, someone who knows why you do what you do, someone who can explain your activity internally. That single difference is what separates stability from chaos. Let me give you a practical example. 2 clients, same net worth, same business activity. Client A walks into a famous mega bank because everyone knows it. Please through the standard channel, gets approved. 6 months later, a transaction triggers a review. Account frozen, weeks of silence, eventually closed. Client B goes through a specialized bank, introduced properly, profile explained up front, structure reviewed before onboarding, and when transaction happen, nothing break, because nothing is surprising. The bank already understands the client. That's the difference. Now here's something counterintuitive that shocks people. Smart banks often require less money to start than people think, not because they're desperate, but because they value client quality over deposit size. A smart bank would rather onboard a client with 100,000 euros or dollars who fits perfectly than a client with 5 million who bring friction, uncertainty or instability. Banks don't care about fit, they care about optic and internal risk model. And that's why people get rejected with large balances and approved with smaller ones, depending entirely on how they approach the bank. Another critical factor people misunderstand is accessibility. Big banks love forcing physical presence, branch visits, in-person signatures, endless bureaucracy. Why? Well, because it filters clients without them having to say no directly. Smart banks, on the other hand, are built for international clients. They are used to remote onboarding, video identification, secure due diligence. They don't panic when you travel. They don't freeze your account because you're not physically present. That matters more than most people realize. Here's another uncomfortable truth. Fame is not a feature. Stability is. Service quality is. Internal flexibility is. People chase names because it feels reassuring, but restaurants doesn't protect you when an algorithm flags your account at 2 a.m. What protects you is having a bank that actually wants you as a client. Now, let's tie these together. If you are an entrepreneur, investor, or internationally active individual, choosing a bank based on reputation alone is lazy thinking and expensive thinking. You don't need the biggest bank. You need the right bank that understands your jurisdiction, your structure, your movement, your reality. And this is where most people fail. They ask the wrong people. They ask accountants. They ask lawyers. They ask friends. Those people usually know 2 or 3 banks, the same ones everyone knows. They don't live inside banking relationships. They don't see rejections, closures, and freezes daily. It's the difference. At GloboBanks, we don't sell banks. We match profiles to institutions that actually make sense, not based on fame, not based on marketing, but based on how banks really operate internally. Because in today's system, there are 2 doors. One door is wide open and closing fast. That's the big bank door. The other door is quieter, narrower, and far more stable. But you only get through it if you know how. If you want to understand how we could help you and how to open the best and perfect bank account for you, you can find the link below in the description. You can share with us a little more information about your profile, and our team will let you know how we can help you. Let's see in the next video.